And welcome back. Today we are going to be doing our fourth, I kid you not, my fourth attempt of seed starting some sunflowers for my roadside flower stand. And hi, if you're new here, my name is Kristy. I am located in Massachusetts, Zone 6A, and I am dabbling into having my own roadside flower stand. I haven't had it opened yet because I didn't get my beds tilled and ready to go and planted out until I was able to get my summer annuals in right now. And it is the beginning of July, and I have tried several times, actually 3 times to be exact, getting my sunflower seeds in so I could get some bouquets going with those gorgeous sunflowers that everyone loves. However, I did the first 2 rounds with direct sowing, and out of the probably 80 seeds that I put into the ground, I have 5 sunflowers. And the reason why is the first 2 rounds I did direct sowing. I have a nice little bed that my husband put some bricks around, and I even used my little decoy owl to try and keep the chipmunks away. So we have what we like to call Chippy the chipmunk. I really honestly think it's just one chipmunk that we see. He likes to make burrows in my garden beds behind me. I filled the holes this spring when we were redoing the garden beds with some new compost and topsoil, and I was hoping he was gone, and he is back. He has been seen climbing my tomato trellises behind me and knocking down some of the cherry tomatoes. He has been digging in my flower pots, and he has been feasting on all of my sunflower seeds. So I noticed that I would have some sunflowers pop up, and then the next day or after I got home from work, they would unfortunately be toppled over and the seed would be seen split in half, the shell. So then I noticed he was also digging them up. Then I also started a 3rd round inside my greenhouse, which I thought was going to be the game changer. I was like, okay, I'll just start them inside. Well, it got super hot in there that it started to kill off some of my seedlings. So even though I had a few emerge, I decided to move my trays outside onto my potting bench. Again, came home the next day after work and noticed that all the seeds were dug up and there were just shells on top of the sunflower seeds. So I have not had any sunflowers except for these massive ones behind me. We started together in like 5 minutes with Madeline. They are ginormous, but I also did space them about 10 to 12 inches apart, so they're super tall. When I was direct seeding them, I was actually doing them about 2 to 3 inches apart, so that way I could have some nice smaller seed heads. But I really need to get seeds going. I have been delaying this for a couple of weekends now, but today I said I was going to set some aside of time and get them started. So let me tell you some of the ones I plan on getting for the fall, and we will see if we can finally get some sunflower seeds in. So before, I just got a bunch of them from some garden stores or from MI Gardener. So I was trying to do some of like these fun colors right here where we got different variety. I had Velvet Queen, Autumn Beauty, Cutting Gold I had, Evening Sun Mix. I also tried this nice white one for earlier in the spring, the Teddy Bear. And then I also got these from, and I also had Mammoth ones too, which I think are some of the ones back there. But I got the Red Sun and Chocolate Cherry ones from Baker Creek when I did an order of some Snapdragons at first. So I'm going to definitely get a tray of these in, and I am just going to overload it because I figured go big or go home at this point. It is July 5th today. They take anywhere from 60 to 75 days from start to bloom. So I'm really cutting it close for my first frost date. Now my average first frost date is October 3rd. However, I will tell you the past 2 Halloweens, it has been in the upper 60s and low 70s. So I'm not quite sure what my nighttime temperatures really dipped down to. I just remember for Halloween the past 2 years, we have not had to bundle the kids up when we went trick-or-treating. So fingers crossed I'll get a few extra weeks in and avoiding the frost. So we are going to just do 4 trays worth. Again, I was planning on by now having my exhaust fan in the greenhouse. I did buy one off of Amazon. It was supposed to go in months ago, but we just never got around to it. So that will be definitely something that I will get done this fall so I can make use of my greenhouse in the summer, because this is perfect for sunflowers. I really want to succession sow them every 2 weeks. And if this is what I'm gonna have to do to keep the pests away, then so be it. I was going to make a little cage over it, but I figured I will just start them indoors, and that way if I can get them big enough, and then when I harden them off, hopefully the chipmunk will not be eating my sunflower seeds. Now sunflowers are like zinnias, they do not like the roots disturbed. Sunflowers do have a taproot. I've also started them in my classroom in toilet paper rolls and had great success with that. So if I can keep them in for a few weeks before they get too big and transplant them out, then hopefully we will do well. Next year I also do plan on getting some deeper pots. So when I did them in the greenhouse with Madeline, we did 4-inch pots, so they did have a nice depth to them, and I wasn't going to interfere with the taproot. So for next year I will be getting some deeper cell trays, hopefully like this, so I can get my sunflowers in. So let's get to it. I already have some pre-moistened seed starting mix that I use. I bought some kind of peat moss blend. It's like by Vermont. I ordered it on Home Depot. It advertised as a seed starting mix, so it's not as chunky. It's really fine, but I still added my own perlite and vermiculite to it because it alone, it just didn't feel right without having that perlite for the drainage. And then with everything being inside and it being warmer now, I have ginormous windows in my master bedroom, so it can get a little bit hot in there, and we don't want to leave the central air running all day. So I do put vermiculite. I will do a dash of it on top just to help with that moisture control. So I'll do one with you guys. We'll get these Baker Creek ones in. It says that they have a minimum of 35 seeds. So I do plan on doing maybe a whole tray of these, since this is more geared towards the fall months. And then whatever I have left in here, we're just gonna fill up some more trays, and I'll probably do some more maybe later when I have some more trays available. All right, so I already have my garden tags set and ready. I like to put the date on it with the variety as well. I am trying to keep a little pocket calendar with all of my seed starting dates, so that way I can have notes for next year, and then I transfer those over to a journal, and I will write if I started something too early or too late, like zinnias. Everyone that I was watching at the time was like, oh, don't start them more than 4 to 6 weeks ahead of time. Well, I wish I did, because my winter sown ones were planted out so much earlier. They were actually able to withstand a little bit of a cold front, and they are doing phenomenal. And I already have been able to get some harvest off of those just for myself for enjoyment. We're gonna let this helicopter pass. And so now I know I'm going to probably start my zinnias maybe 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time, hoping I can just get them into the greenhouse and maybe get a little bit of a jump start. So with sunflower seeds, they do not need light to germinate. You actually do want to make sure that they are buried into your seed starting mix. And I give it about a half of an inch or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press these down. And you don't want to press it too much where it's super compacted, because you do still need to bury your seed. But then I will do, the reason why I do compact it like this is just to get the air pockets out. When you start to bottom water, you will notice if you don't get the air pockets out, because the soil will start to sink, especially anything that's small. Sunflower seeds will be an exception, but I will always do that just so that way, once again, when I bottom water, I'm not having these big gaps and losing some seeds, especially anything that's relatively small. And I just kind of topped it off, and then what I will do is I will press them in and just make sure they are buried. So we have one here. Again, it says minimum of 35 seeds, so I'm hoping I can maybe get all 40 done and have 2 full trays. Now I have one heat mat that doesn't have anything on it. I'm still waiting for, I think I have 1 tray of stock. I'm waiting just for a few more to pop out, and then my snapdragons. Those took me my first round about 7 to 8 days before I was able to take them off the heat mat. I started them on Monday, so hopefully by Tuesday. So what I'm hoping I can do is scoot away with 1 on a heat mat, and then it's going to be unfortunately too hot for me to leave them in my greenhouse, but I thought maybe I could leave them outside with a humidity dome, maybe with the holes open, the vents open, and that way the chipmunk hopefully won't be able to get into them. Or I'll just put them on my seed starting rack, and they just won't be on a heat mat, but they just won't maybe get that warmth that they need. So I'm not sure what I plan on doing here. Maybe I'll just test it out. But I do need sunflowers. I'm I probably will put these Baker Creek ones geared more towards the fall on the heat mat once there's room, and then the other ones maybe I'll leave outside to experiment with. So I can even get them on my potting bench with and tape the humidity dome on, check on it in the morning and the afternoon. So that might be something that will work. So these are ready. Let's prep the Baker Creek ones. All right, so we are gonna start with the chocolate cherry. I love sunflowers, so I'm really hoping this works. If not, we might just have to give up on the sunflower dream. All right, so one thing that's also great about sunflower seeds is they're bigger. They are great for kids. My daughter loves seed starting sunflowers. You can definitely do them with your kids. Again, I am just gonna take it and I'm going to bury it and then backfill. There's definitely enough. And this is something I will not be overseeding. I do like to overseed, but sunflowers, we will not. I definitely just did my yarrow earlier, and I would overseed because that's a perennial and I really would like to get in as much as I can. But with the sunflowers, we're just going to press one in at a time. And then once I am done, I will take this and I'm just going to mist the top. This helps with the humidity dome, and then I'll get those upstairs. And I'm actually thrilled that there's so many. And I always also want to try and leave one to go to seed, so I can save some seeds for next year. It'll just save a little bit more money, because as you start to dabble into flowers, you realize you want all the things, and it does add up, especially if your sunflowers are just not producing anything. You're not really getting a return on it. It kind of is frustrating. All right, and these are really small. I've also seen people say that they have just taken like bird seed and tried scattering that too, which I have not done, but that also seems like a pretty great idea. All right, almost done. All right, and these are done, and I still have a ton left, so kudos to them for packaging a lot. All right, I think we got all of those. All right, I'm going to just get a little bit more, top it off, and then we will put some water with my spray bottle, and then we will do the red sun ones next, but I probably will just time lapse that and let you know what else I've done from the ones I've got from the big box stores. We're going to do a little experiment. I am going to leave them right here on my deck. It gets morning sun, afternoon shade due to the wall right here of the living room. And I'm gonna put the humidity domes on with the vents open, so that way hopefully they don't get too warm inside. And I'll make sure to check them in the morning and at night so they don't dry out. But hopefully if I keep the humidity dome on, and I will also use some kind of tape to make sure that no little critters can try and weasel their way in. That way, hopefully they will start to germinate, since I don't have room on my heat mat right now. And then what I will do is I will go ahead and maybe move them indoors for a few weeks, and then I will move them back outside. We'll see if this would work. I normally would just leave them as they are in the greenhouse, but it's going to get way too hot with the 90-degree and upper 80 days inside. Again, my exhaust fan is not in. That's okay. We'll learn this for next year. And then hopefully this will work and I'll have some sunflowers in the fall. So temporary fix, I just taped the sides. I did put one of the Baker Creek ones up on the heat mat. I had one space left. I figured if I can get at least one to germinate, that'd be fantastic. I'm going to leave these open. This one doesn't have it. And I have masking tape. Well, I know with the weather and such, it will have to be reapplied over and over again. But I do have some larger rocks I can also put on. I was just thinking of the wind. I also don't want them to slide off because it does get windy here. So hopefully this will do the trick. All right, so we have our last chance for sunflowers in. That will be my 4th round of attempting to get sunflowers in for my cut flowers, for my roadside flower stand. If you would like to stay updated and see how things work out, especially since I'm leaving my sunflowers outdoors just to germinate and then possibly moving them back in unless I can find a way to keep the critters from getting into the cells. We're gonna see if it works, so hopefully, fingers crossed it does. And there's a hummingbird. Oh my gosh, there's a hummingbird. It was so cool. The bee balm is opening up, so I'm hoping that it'll draw the hummingbirds back in. Anyways, if you'd like to stay tuned, go ahead, click like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I will see you all next time. Happy gardening. Bye.